What's up, peeps? Let me get started here in about 3 minutes. What's going on, Anthony Reyes, Ruben Masagua? Y'all are here early. Y'all must have got notifications. Wow, people getting notifications. I can't believe it. Y'all have gotten like 3 notifications from me today. This is an impressive day for you two. James, what's going on? Studio Q. Tulsi's already on the side of the progressive left. She makes mistakes like everybody else. Like I said, I'm gonna talk a little bit about this in the video. I do believe that people take her comments and then they kind of obsess over them to a degree. Like, we can critique her and then move the fuck on, like most people would do, you know? But some people, like even her supporters, they hold her to a different standard at times than they would hold anybody that they've supported in the past. There's a lot of reasons for that. I think maybe some of her supporters, they think she's like a robot who's going to be perfect on every issue. And I never expected that out of her. Just like I've never expected that out of Bernie, right? I've supported both of those candidates, and I support both of these candidates knowing that they are human and knowing that they will fuck up and knowing that they need to be critiqued when they do. That's how these things work usually. Let me get through some of these. Oh, damn, y'all came in fast. Hold on, let me get some shout outs. Maggie Smith, good stuff. I think I ain't my baby. Dave Alberts. David Ferguson. Moshi Moshi. Q got no rings. David Mazo. Brett Fairchild. Giant DeVault. Got a notification. Good stuff. I'm glad people are getting notification. Carlos Cesaro. I know that would be the conventional line of thinking, but that actually isn't the case. I know people think that it's like strategic or something like that, but it isn't the case. All right, we're going to get started in about 30 seconds. Nathan Fancy. I said Nancy Fancy. Is it true that Tulsi served with Biden's son? I'm not sure they served together, but they were deployed at the same time, I believe. They were deployed at the same time. But if I recall, Biden's son was active duty, so I don't think they can serve like in the same unit while he's active duty. You can in rare circumstances, but from everything I know, she deployed out of the National Guard in Hawaii. So, all right. Athlete Chavez, appreciate the love. Love y'all too. So I want to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And of course, I am, as always, your humble host, Niko House. And so I wanted to address the comments with Tulsi and Biden. And like last time, I wanted to see how things played out, how people reacted to it, because I'm not a really reactionary person. I like actually analyzing and figuring out what happened. I don't want to take too long on this because I have a lot of other information I gotta get you all via various videos this evening, but I do want to address it. So, but Tulsi responding to a tweet where it was exposing the fact that Kamala, so the very busing policy that Kamala said, said what. How do I break this down? The very busing policy that Kamala used to paint Biden as a racist, there you go, actually is supported by Kamala. Now, Tulsi, about 2 weeks ago now, said that Kamala and Elizabeth Warren were basically using these critiques of Biden as political fodder, trying to play on identity politics rather than to address policies, which actually turned out to be true. She was right. She was definitely right about that. Now, she also said that Biden is not a racist. Now, do I agree with her? No, not necessarily. I don't. I think that I think that we don't even have to call Biden a racist, because I don't like, you know how I am. I don't even like getting into identity politics. But by the strictest definition of the word, he was absolutely a segregationist. By the strictest sense of the word, like, he worked with segregationists to maintain segregation. Money Train James, give me a second. I'll get back to when is Tulsi going to address black issues, and why didn't she sign on HR 40? She signed on HR 40 the moment she had an opportunity to. She worked with Conyers on the bill, if I recall. So yeah. So she was right about Kamala. Absolutely, 100% right. She was right about Elizabeth Warren as well, but defending Biden, what has gotten her back, or what is perceived as defending Biden. I don't think that she was defending Biden. I think that he just was a beneficiary of her attacking Elizabeth Warren and Kamala. But nonetheless, she didn't really actually address any of his policies, which, in my opinion, by saying Biden is or isn't a racist, and leaving it at that, which is my biggest critique, is actually another way to play on identity politics. I don't like it. It strategically doesn't make any sense, and it's because, in my humble opinion, actually it has nothing to do with strategy. She recently said, of course, in a tweet earlier and on her interview with CBS, once again, that she doesn't believe Biden is a racist, and that Kamala was trying to weaponize identity politics for a political advantage, without actually believing those words. And let's be honest, this is the woman who is being pushed. Kamala was a woman that was being pushed for Biden's VP, right? Everybody was suggesting it. The Congressional Black Caucus was suggesting this. Kamala has been seen hugging Biden, sharing smiles with Biden, on a bus with Biden. And so Tulsi knows Kamala's full of shit, just as much as we all know that Biden is full of shit. And so from her perspective, from what she's seen, as far as Biden's interaction with black people directly, maybe she in her heart genuinely believes that he's not a racist, not at his core. Now, in her defense, I will say that it is possible for people to pass racist policies and not be racist. Unfortunately, we have seen that happen. Bernie voting to bomb Gaza based off of, basically Israeli supremacism and propaganda to minimize and denigrate the Palestinian people was probably a racist policy that he voted for. Just like Biden voting for that, pushing the legislation that he's pushing to pass was racist policy. Tulsi, at one point, voted. I don't think it was that she knew, because of the false intel that was being put out, but she basically voted to indirectly support neo-Nazis. Actually, Bernie voted for it too under the Obama administration, to support neo-Nazis, thinking that Russia was our enemy and that we have to support the Ukrainian resistance. That was wrong. And also, those are neo-Nazis. Does that mean Bernie's a racist? No. Does that mean Tulsi's a racist? No. So in her defense, if she's looking at it from that perspective, okay, we can't say for a fact that Biden is indeed racist. Got it. We can still talk about the fact that his policy was absolutely racist. That's my biggest critique of Tulsi in this situation is, okay, we don't have to debate whether or not Biden is racist. But why not address the policies at hand? Why? Because, let's be honest, she was really busy attacking Kamala, holding Kamala's feet to the fire. And then, like, she would randomly, it's like weird because she was attack Kamala and then, like, interject. I mean, Biden isn't a racist, but yeah, fuck Kamala, basically, is what happened. And so, and this is, by the way, this is speculative. I don't want anybody to think that this is like their campaign talking to me about this. The things that the campaign I've talked about, completely separate from this specifically. Tulsi tweeted this on her own. Tulsi feels strongly about the Kamala aspect of this entire situation. This is the one, there's no strategy behind it. And so don't make the mistake of thinking that there is strategy behind it. There isn't. There wasn't any this time, and there wasn't any last time. And if you notice, the same thing happened this time as well. It was like kind of out of nowhere. She didn't talk about policy. The policy that's being, because usually what do we know Tulsi to do? If Tulsi is going to engage in these type of discussions, she addresses policy. She talks about policy. She doesn't get into the ID politics. She doesn't get into any of that. She doesn't get into identity attacks. And once again, just like last time, she was very adamant about expressing how she believed that Biden was being attacked because of a political agenda by Kamala. And then it dawned on me. It did. It dawned on me that maybe we should stop trying to think about this as strategy. Maybe we should stop trying to think about this as like there's some type of logic, there's some type of end game, there's some type of ultimate goal, because there's probably not. And I'm going to explain why. This issue is highly likely a sore spot for Tulsi. It's highly likely. Why? Because Tulsi has been attacked while the establishment politics has used identity politics, to attack Tulsi since the beginning of this race, saying that she's Islamophobic. Why? Because she said one time on air that she's a hawk on terror. One time on air, she said this. She's talked about peace. She's talked about dismantling the military-industrial complex. She has dozens of Muslims that work or volunteer for the campaign. Like, I mean, the list really does go on. One of a person who's likely going to end up being a surrogate from her is a Muslim refugee. But she was attacked off of one interview and called an Islamophobe. Some people say she's racist towards, she's anti-black, which is weird. I would say she maybe hasn't addressed black issues enough, but that doesn't mean she's anti-black. But why? Because people have been using identity politics to attack her illegitimately. Why have they been using identity politics to attack her and smear her illegitimately? Oh, because they have a political agenda. And so if she defends her, think about this. She has to take every single lump, every single blow of them attacking her over identity politics, which she already hates identity politics. Imagine being attacked by it. Imagine being attacked by it when you know that you're trying to help people. And there's nothing she can do. There's nothing she can say to defend herself. Think about it. If she defends herself, like if they attacked her as a hawk on terror or whatever, like in the heat of the moment, she said, really? I said that one time and y'all will not stop attacking me for it. She would be perceived as the victim. They would say, oh, look at Tulsi playing victim. If she talked about how the smears specifically against her based on the identity politics were attacks that weren't genuine, They were of no actual legitimate concern for people of color or black people specifically in this country. That they were attacks merely based off of a political agenda, that a short-term political agenda that they think could boost them in the polls and sink her campaign. If she said this, what would they say? Tulsi Gabbard's already making excuses for losing. Those would be the headlines. So she has to internalize all this. And once again, this isn't her talking to me. This isn't anybody in the campaign talking to me. This is me being in politics, being a public figure, and understanding that she's a human just like I am. Only so many attacks roll off of your back before you, like, it starts to become emotionally and mentally draining. You begin to get frustrated to a point, to a boiling point. And this was, and the team, by the way, that has orchestrated these attacks from the beginning, whose camp was it? It was the Clinton camp. Guess whose camp is firmly behind Kamala? The Clinton camp. Guess whose camp? Think about this. And it's not a coincidence that she has specifically been going hard at Kamala. Tulsi is the one who supposedly has a love affair with Modi, right? Regardless of what you do and don't know about him, they say they attack her over her relationship with Modi, even though she's met with everybody, every political party in the region. But yet Kamala, and by the way, that attachment to Modi is only based off of her Hindu religion. And yet Kamala is actually Indian. Talks about her Indian before she ran for president. Now she's only black. But if y'all didn't know, running for Senate, running for Attorney General, running for DA, all she talked about was her Indian family and how her mom helped her out with campaigning, and how her aunts would fly from India to come in campaigning. And Kamala tweeted out what? How much she loved Modi multiple times. And she's actually Indian. Has a closer connection to India than Tulsi does. But Tulsi's being attacked because of her religion and Modi having the same religion and her being in the same vicinity while being on the Committee of Foreign Affairs as Modi, which is the stupidest attack ever. And imagine how frustrating it has to be for her if it's frustrating for us to even talk about it. But yet Kamala is being spared. So that's just one example. Kamala's being protected by her identity and then able then to use that identity, use that apparatus of protection, knowing she'll get away with it, to attack Biden. And she hasn't personally attacked Tulsi, of course, but she's been protected and stayed silent while her camp has used Tulsi's identity to attack her. So my point is, there just isn't any logic behind it. There isn't any, she's trying to be Biden's vice president or Biden's secretary of state. I will tell you this, Tulsi is under no disillusion. Neither am I. Nor because she knows exactly what we know about Biden's history as far as elections are concerned, which is this man's not going to be president. Okay? He's not. He doesn't have it. So if you think it's some type of strategy, it's not. He's been falling in the polls every day. So it's not strategy. You think it's some type of logic? It's not logic. It's not political. It's the fact that this is just simply a sore spot for a human being who has had to take so many lumps over the course of 6 months based on her identity. They've used her identity to attack her. They've used other people's identities to attack her. And it's all been for a political agenda. And because of the politics behind it and the reality that we live in, she can't defend herself against any of those attacks. At least she can't defend herself demonstratively. She can't get upset about it. So this is a reaction to, in my opinion, this is once again my opinion, this is a reaction to all of the attacks against her. It's like, I mean, I'm sure some of you, anybody who's human has dealt with it. You project, right? If you can't, for whatever reason, reconcile whatever issue you have about how you're being treated, about how you would like to be treated, you project. And she projected. And Biden was a beneficiary of that. However, she attacked Kamala. It was mostly about attacking Kamala. I would love to see her. If you're going to say Biden isn't or is not a racist, that's not a conversation we should be having. First of all, like, y'all know my thing. I don't care if you are the Colonel from Kentucky Fried Chicken and you own, not you own 50, but if I don't care if your policies all benefit black people or people of color in general, I don't care how racist you are in your house. I don't care. I care about what that legislation has to say. So we shouldn't even be having a conversation about whether or not Biden is racist or not. We should be having a conversation about whether or not his policies damage black people, people of color, or anybody else for that matter. Policy. Tulsi, I think, has not realized or recognized that she is inadvertently playing into the game, the identity politics game of the establishment. Because now we're debating whether or not Biden is racist. I don't care if he's racist. Was policies racist? Hell yeah, they were. But once again, like I said, this is the first time. This is the first time that Tulsi has had a critique of somebody or quote unquote defense of somebody that's not based in policy. It's weird. And that's why I was like, well, I don't get it. What the hell? And it's not based in policy because it's not based in politics, because it's not based in strategy, because it's not based in logic. It's an emotional reaction to being attacked all the time for over identity politics, specifically to achieve a political agenda. That's it. It's hard. It's hard for me to pontificate from behind a desk. And I'm not running for president. It's hard for me to tell her, yo, I know it's frustrating. I know it. I understand it. Trust me. I've had my identity used to attack me over and over again. People who understand how racial dynamics in media, when it comes to public figures work. I have had people use my blackness against me, while they, as white males or white women, have protect themselves in that cocoon of whiteness, because they knew like they would be protected no matter what. They can be right, they can be wrong, and somebody like myself, I get one slip up. I don't get that type of protection. So I understand where Tulsi's coming from, but I'm not a president. I get pissed off when someone, not always, I laugh sometimes, but I get pissed off when someone tries to smear me on Twitter. One time, one lie, I get pissed. Imagine having your name slandered over and over and over and over and over again. And they're using a method where you really can't win, which is identity politics. Because we've taken it to an extreme. Not we, but the Democratic establishment has weaponized identity, but it only works. Think about it. It only, She the People conference. Tulsi is the only other woman of color in this race. Tulsi was not invited. They found out about the event and they invited themselves. Kamala was invited though. Tulsi is a woman of color. Not that she would want her, she wouldn't want to be protected because of her identity. It's not how she is. But damn, does Kamala get to be protected because of her identity? And should we not expect a human reaction from Tulsi regarding this issue? If this is going to be the only issue she gets wrong, I'm going to be pissed about it, but I ain't going. Like, some of these people are so politically immature. Oh my God, she said that Biden isn't racist. I'm going to cancel Tulsi. Okay, that's cool. You know, just screw the whole idea of the military-industrial complex about to send us into a nuclear holocaust. She said that a person who has no chance of winning, who has no type of legitimate influence in this country or in the world at this point, who will probably be out by the next debate, is not a racist. I disagree. Well, I can't even say I disagree. Like I said, it depends on what the perspective is. He passed a lot of racist policies. I don't know him personally, but it looked like he's racist. And I disagree with her making it. What I disagree with is her making a absolute statement one way or the other if it's not about policy. Don't try to figure out if a person is or isn't good, is or isn't bad. What's the policies talking about? That's what has gotten Tulsi here. That is what will propel her. That is what has made the left and people on the libertarian right fall in love with her. And that is what she should stick to. Like I said, it is much easier for me to say that from behind this desk. I'm not running for president. I don't get attacked every day. I do, but not from people that matter. She's getting attacked by the media every day when she sacrificed her career to endorse Bernie. She sacrificed her career to rail against the military-industrial complex, to call out election fraud and promote election integrity, to inform the entire world, hey, hate to break it to you, but the United States is funding terrorism. I think we should probably do something about that. When you're, and this is something I imagine that most people who are on the right side of history go through, you're attacked by everybody, even the people who supposedly were supposed to be your allies. And then they kind of put you on this pedestal of perfection, some of your supporters. And the moment you do something they don't like, they overly criticize you. Tulsi's a human. She can get things wrong. It's okay. Just say, no, this ain't it. This is wrong. Do better next time. Move on. Is Biden going to make or break whatever policy Tulsi introduces? It's just like with Bernie. Did I cancel Bernie because Bernie said he wasn't a friend? That Biden was his friend? No. I did not. I said, you can get this shit together. That's not acceptable. That's even worse to me because you know about his racist policies. You know this man is a warmonger. You know this man does what, he knows all that. One thing to call him a colleague, different thing entirely to call him a friend. And I know that Bernie has ultimately good intentions, that Biden isn't going to affect Bernie's policies one way or the other. I do think there is something important to be said about rhetoric and the normalization of people like Biden. I get all that. But I'm also not a political child. And you shouldn't be politically naive either. It's okay for Tulsi to be wrong, as long as she gets the policies right. Let me check out some of these super chats real quick before we get up out of here. Adrian PN, hey Niko, email. Oh yeah, I got it. I have to sit down and go through it thoroughly, and I'll respond back to you, man. It's been a busy day. Chris D, I don't understand why Tulsi's getting attacked for saying she doesn't think Biden's racist, but Kamala said that on live TV, and she gets a free pass. Oh yeah, I forgot she did say that, didn't she? She actually did say that Biden isn't a racist. Although I know it is crazy because she said that on live TV that she doesn't think Biden's a racist, but then she goes on to attack him. But all of her camp, of course, is doing the Biden is a racist rhetoric for her, and she knows that's how it was going to go. She knew that. I was that little girl, got the shirts ready, segregation, busing laws, all that stuff. She knew that was going to happen. But Kamala isn't being attacked by anybody over that particular sentiment. But Tulsi is. Now, Tulsi's also been attacked by some of her supporters. I won't say attacked. She's only been attacked by a few of her supporters. She's been critiqued by a lot of them. And that's okay. Critiquing is fine, but just like I saw somebody on Twitter today, excuse me. Oh, that's 2 times, Tulsi. Oh, so if she says Biden's name 3 times, you're going to forget about everything else she's done. Everything else. Maybe if you had a better candidate, I could get on board with that logic. Maybe that. But saying Biden's name 3 times when he has absolutely no effect on how she goes about her business, that is absolutely absurd. In a generation, in a political time period where Bernie Sanders still called Elizabeth Warren his friend and he endorsed Hillary Clinton, you got, Tulsi sacrificed everything and is being attacked. The world is topsy-turvy. Sometimes people get things wrong. All the things that somebody can get wrong, saying Biden is a racist, is like probably 150 on my list of things that would make me not endorse a candidate or not support a candidate ever. It's politically immature. Money Train James, really quick, I want to address your comment. So as far as the speaking out or going to address black issues, that's actually something that I am going to be assisting the campaign with next week. I will be flying to Las Vegas to engage with the black community. We want to speak to some black leaders out there. Basically, we're going to have a town hall and a roundtable discussion, and we're going to get some policies out to her policy team so we can start addressing some of those issues. I'm going to post on my Twitter. She actually has addressed black issues, but it's only been in legislation because she doesn't want to speak ignorantly about them. And that's, she has to learn and grow on that front. It's better than, Elizabeth Warren being an opportunist or Kamala pretending she's black when we know her African American experience her African American experience is sussies. And so that's what she'll do. She's asked for my services to help her achieve that goal. And that's what we're going to do. She said, you know what? I'm not an expert on black people, but you're a black man. And so I would love for your help in this department. Isn't that what we want? And we no offense to Tulsi. Tulsi's a woman of color, but she's not a black woman. She doesn't understand our issues at all. That's something to be applauded. We keep asking for seats at the table, and she's doing that. And so that's something I actually greatly appreciate. And so, like I said, I'll actually be going to Vegas next week. That won't be my only stop for her. Wherever she needs me to go, or wherever I even feel like I need to go, the campaign has given me full reign to discuss these issues within the black community, not only to help offer solutions, but also to bring their concerns back to her and their policy team so they can start addressing them via legislation like she does everything else. So with that being said, people, thank you all so much for tuning into that live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Make sure you donate to Tulsi. She's almost at 130,000. Bop, bop. Want to get her on that third debate stage. She's getting closer and closer. And make sure priority right now is Mike Gravel. Mike Gravel is so close. So freaking close to getting on that debate stage. We need him there, people. Whew! He's going to tear that. He's going to tear it up. He's going to tear it up. We need him on that debate stage. The entire election will be flipped upside down if Mike Gravel gets on that debate stage. Let's make it happen. With that being said, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.